What is up, guys? Welcome back to my channel. We are back with another hair and makeup tutorial. For today's video, I wanted to give a huge shout out to Tinashe Hair for sponsoring this video and sending over this really beautiful wig for me to work with. So let's go ahead and jump into this tutorial. As always, I'm gonna go ahead and start off with the hair. So the hair process was a lot different than like other times that I've dyed my hair. I actually dyed this hair twice. So originally I was going for like an ombre from pink to like a berry color. I saw a picture on Pinterest that was like super inspiring, and I was like, yeah, I'm gonna do this ombre hair. It's gonna look great. Awesome. So I got the hair dyes. I used the Kiss Temptation hair dyes in Atomic Pink, I think Pink Mania, and I kind of ombreed it into berry red. And as I was done like drying the hair and like, you know, all that other stuff, I didn't really like the way that the colors like turned out. I feel like I chose the wrong colors for the look that I was going for. So I ended up saying like, forget this. I'm just gonna go ahead and do the wig all one color. So I went back in with the berry red from Kiss Colors, and I mixed it in with a little bit of Violet Gem from Adore, and I went ahead and just applied that over the pink that I had going from the roots all the way to like about halfway down into the hair. And I pretty much ended up having the wig like all the one color that we did at the ends. So yeah, that's pretty much what happened. But yeah, overall, I feel like the hair turned out really good. I think it looks so pretty. I love the way it came out, and I feel like it just goes perfectly into like the fall season that we're rolling into. Also, real quick side note, in my last video, I was using the Adore hair dyes, and like the amateur that I am, I ended up mixing my hair dye with 20 volume developer. You do not want to mix your Adore hair dyes or the Kiss Temptation ones or any semi-permanent hair dyes with peroxide. And I think it makes me feel even more like an idiot because it says on the bottle, do not mix with peroxide. So thank you to those commenters that let me know in my last video not to mix it with peroxide because you will damage your hair. It's just gonna damage your hair. It's not like helpful at all or anything like that. If you need to stretch the color or dilute it, just use some hair conditioner or use an actual like color diluter. But yes, thank you so much to those people that were letting me know in the comments on my last video to not mix with peroxide because I would have just damaged literally all of my wigs. But yeah, I had to let you guys know that because it's definitely like something that I don't want you guys to do. We all want healthy, long-lasting wigs, and adding developer into our semi-permanent hair dyes isn't gonna do that for us. So yes. But yeah, don't be like me and mix these hair dyes with developer. That's pretty much what I did for dyeing. I'm gonna go ahead and finish like coloring the hair, and then I'll show you guys how I did my install. So this is pretty much what the hair looks all dyed. I went ahead and rinsed the color out. I didn't shampoo it or anything like that. I just used water to rinse the excess color. And then I went ahead and started applying my wig. So I'm gonna go ahead and lay down my wig cap first using my Got to Be Free spray and my blow dryer. I'm gonna spray that all towards the edges of my hairline and just make sure to dry it all the way down before I go in and cut off all the excess lace. Or not lace, all the excess wig cap. So I cut off all that excess wig cap. I'm gonna go ahead and apply some foundation onto the edges now just to make the lace frontal blend in a lot better. And now we can go ahead and lay down our wig. I'm just gonna adjust it, make sure it's right where I want it to be glued down. And then to secure it, I'm gonna use my Got to Be Free spray again. I'm just gonna spray it right through the lace and just make sure that it kind of hits the wig cap underneath. So it kind of like fuses both of those two things together. And then using my blow dryer on a cool setting, I'm just gonna make sure it's completely dry before I move on to the next section. I'm gonna do all my customizing like for the lace frontal off camera. So I'm just gonna cut off all that excess lace, do that off camera, and then I'll be back to show you guys how I laid down my edges. So finally, I'm just gonna go ahead and lay down my edges, my little baby hairs. I'm gonna use my Lotta Body wrapping foam to lay those down along with my edge brush. And as I'm going along, I'm just pulling little pieces out using my rat tail comb, trimming them down using my razor, and then just styling them up from there. I styled the hair in like a half up, half down style, and then just added some little bang type thingies like in the front. And that's pretty much all I did for the hair. I didn't do anything like too crazy or anything like that. But yeah, so once my edges are all done being styled, I'm gonna add my satin wrap, and from there I'm gonna go ahead and show you guys how I got the makeup look. So moving on to the makeup, I'm gonna start off the eyes using my Makeup Revolution concealers in shades 12.5 and 12 to prime. I'm gonna add 12.5 to the outer portion of my eye and then shade 12 onto the lid because it is a little bit lighter. So just gonna make those shadows that I apply on top of it pop just a little bit more. I've been also really loving doing like my whole entire eye like all at once. So I'm gonna blend that concealer into my lower lash line and inner corner as well. For this look, I'm mostly going to be using the Stacey Marie Carnival XL Pro palette in collaboration with Bperfect Cosmetics. I'm going to start off with the shade Reckless, which is like a kind of like an eggplant color, I think. Yeah, an eggplant color. And I'm gonna place that onto the crease using a Morphe M506. Even though I'm gonna add black later on, I really want this color to stand out. So I'm gonna make sure to pack it on really, really well before I move into the next shade. The next shadow I'm going to use is in Lust from the same palette, and I'm going to apply that right on top of Reckless and use this to blend out the edges. I am going in with another Morphe M506 to give that a good blend. I really want to make sure that this color is nice and diffused, so I'm just going to take my time blending that out. Then before I move into my next shadow, I want to make sure that brow bone is nice and smooth. So I'm going to add some Fenty Beauty blotting powder right in that general area so I get a nice, really smooth transition into my next shadow. Then to blend out that red, I'm gonna go in with a mixture of Shuffle and Keen, which is like the mustardy type of color, and the bright yellow on the corner. And I'm gonna use those two shades to give that red a really, really good blend. And as I'm going along, I'm also gonna dip back into my previous brushes that I used for Reckless and the red in Lust, and just go over everything and just make sure all the colors are nice and vibrant and blended in between. Then for that extra bit of depth, I'm gonna go in with Lights Out, which is the matte black all the way on the bottom right corner. And I'm gonna place that on the outer corner and kind of drag it into the crease as well. Before I cut the crease, I'm gonna do some cleaning up using a cleansing balm. This one is from Farmacy, and I'm just gonna add a little bit onto the lid and just kind of carve out my cut crease. So that way when I apply my concealer, it doesn't kind of smudge into my shadow and change the color, make it all weird colored and stuff. So this is just gonna make sure that my cut crease is nice and clean when I go in with concealer. Then to do my actual cut crease, I'm gonna use my Makeup Revolution concealer, and this one is in the shade C1. So we've got our cut crease going. Now we want to make sure that the cut crease is actually blended into the outer corner. So I'm going to go back in with Reckless and Lights Out, which is that matte black and that eggplant type of color, and just go back in with those shades and blend out that outer corner into the cut crease. Moving on to the lid, I want to create like an ombre on the lid. So I'm first going to start off with purple, and this color is just going to get packed onto the lid right next to the outer corner. Then going into the shade Funky, which is that hot pink, I'm going to add that onto the lid as well and blend that into the purple. And to complete the ombre, I'm gonna go in with Pillow Talk, which is like that off-white, and add that to the very inner portion of the lid. And then I'm gonna go back in with Keen, which is the bright yellow, and just blend that in between. I wanted the lower lash line to be super smoky and still colorful, so I'm gonna do like half blue, half green. I'm first gonna go in with the navy color from the palette and just add that onto the lower lash line first. I'm gonna take that color halfway, and then for the green, I'm also gonna use the shade Nuke, which is like the dark forest green at the bottom, and place that onto the inner half of the lower lash line. And then to blend those two colors out, I'm gonna go in with a lighter shade of blue and green, and with a fluffy brush, I'm just gonna go ahead and blend out those two darker colors. Then to give that inner corner a nice little pop, I'm gonna go in with Ecstasy, which is that lime green, and add that right on the inner portion of that lower lash line. Then for our lash shadow, I'm gonna go back in with Lights Out, which is that matte black, and add that to the lower lash line too, just so it flows a little bit better with the outer corner and the crease. I'm also gonna black out that waterline using some liner. For today, I'm using Urban Decay's 24/7 Glide On Liner in the shade Perversion. And for the white line on the crease, I'm gonna use the Danessa Myricks Colorfix in the shade Lift. I love using this product for little details and stuff. It just works perfectly. I'm then gonna prep my lower lashes with some lash primer. I'm using one from L'Oreal. I'm just gonna do a generous coat of that and let it dry clear before I go in with mascara. And the one I'm using today is from Black Radiance. It's their Bold and Sexy Fiber Mascara. And I'm just gonna add that onto the top lashes. Usually by the time I'm done coating my top lashes, the lash primer has dried all the way down. So I'm gonna add some mascara onto my lower lashes at that point too. And then for our falsies today, I'm gonna be using some Crvstal lashes. These are in collaboration with Zachary Vang in the style 711. So now that the eyes are done, I'm gonna go ahead and move on to skin. I'm first gonna prep my skin using a new primer from Ciate. This is their Watermelon Burst Hydrating Primer. My skin has been feeling like super dry and like very So I feel like it's probably because like it's getting a lot cooler outside. So I'm hoping that using like more hydrating products kind of helps me out. Make sure you stay hydrated still, guys. Even though it's getting cold, you still wanna drink lots of water. I feel like I'm even more prone to getting dry at this point in the year because it's so much drier outside. So just make sure you guys are keeping up with your water intake and you're making sure to stay hydrated because I feel like it's super easy to forget to stay hydrated when it starts to get cold. But anyways, after primer, I'm gonna go ahead and add some concealer and do some color correcting. I use the Insta concealer in number 4 and I use some peach color correctors from Danessa Myricks and just kind of blended everything in with my fingers. And then from there, I just went ahead and added some foundation on top. Today, I used a mixture of 2 different foundations. One is from L'Oreal. It's their Fresh Wear foundation in the shade 510. And I mixed that in with Beauty Bakerie's Insta foundation in the shade 313W. And I feel like I really like this mixture. It just kind of gave me a little bit of extra coverage since my skin has been kind of like acting up. I feel like I kind of need it today. So a little bit of extra coverage, but it still has that really nice like lightweight feel. Then to highlight, I'm gonna use some new concealers that I got from JCat Beauty that they sent me. These are their Stay Assurance concealers, and I'm using a mixture of Cappuccino and Sunkissed. I'm gonna add the lighter of the 2 shades on the innermost portion of my face, and then add the darker one around that, just so it blends in a little bit better and it's not too bright for my skin tone. And then to set everything, I'm gonna go in with the Luxe Pro powder. This is also from JCat Beauty in the shade Banana. And I'm just gonna go over all of the areas that I applied my concealer. So underneath the eyes, a little on the nose, on the areas where I also get a little oily, so on my forehead. And I'm gonna make sure to place some on my Cupid's bow and a little bit around my mouth and chin, just to make sure that those areas that I added my color corrector set really well and it's not like moving around and stuff. Then to set the rest of my face and just to add a little bit of extra coverage, I'm gonna go in with my Studio Fix powder from MAC Cosmetics in the shade NC50. And I'm just gonna buff that into my skin with a large fluffy brush just so I get the lightest coverage. I'm not going too heavy-handed with this. I just want a little bit of extra coverage, literally like the tiniest amount. So using a larger, like fluffier brush is just gonna make sure that I get the lightest coverage. And then for bronzer, I'm going to be using Becca's Sunlit Bronzer in the shade Ipanema Sun. I love this bronzer so much. It's definitely one of my favorites. I'm just going to go ahead and add some of that all over the perimeter of my face. So along my hairline, kind of towards my jaw, and a little bit on my cheekbone just to bring some added warmth into my skin and some extra definition. And then for blush, I'm going to use a new blush also from J-Cat Beauty. This is their Blush Mallow in the shade Dolly Peachy. Next, I'm going to add some highlighter. I'm going to be using MAC's Extra Dimension Skin Finish in the shade Oh Darling, and just add that onto all the areas where I want a little bit of extra glow. So for me, I like to add some on the bridge of my nose, the tip of my nose, a little on the Cupid's bow, and the highest point of my cheekbones. And then to set everything, I'm gonna go in with some Urban Decay All Nighter setting spray. I'm gonna spritz that all over and just make sure it dries down completely using my fan. And then from there, we just have our eyebrows and lips to do. I'm first gonna fill in my brows using my typical products. So my Anastasia Dip Brow Pomade is first, and that is in the shade Ebony. I'm going for more of a natural brow lately, so literally all I'm gonna do is fill in like the sparser areas of my brows so everything looks just a little bit more even. And then just to make sure that my brow hairs aren't like moving around and stuff, I'm gonna add a little bit of Anastasia's Dip Brow Gel in the shade Dark Brown. And then last but not least, I'm just gonna work on my lips. I'm first gonna line them using some lip liners from J-Cat Beauty. These are their Pro Lip Liners in shades Brown and Deep Brown. I use a mixture of those two colors just to get like my perfect like lip liner color. So I'm gonna go ahead and fill in my lips with that first, and then I'm gonna add some lipstick and gloss right on top. For lipstick, I'm also using a new product from Huda Beauty. This is their matte lipstick in the shade Board Meeting. I'm gonna go ahead and apply that onto my lips first and just make sure to blend it in really well with my lip liner using my finger. And then for gloss, I'm using one from Milani. This is their lip plumping gloss in the shade Champagne. And that pretty much completes this look, guys. I really hope you enjoyed this tutorial. If you did, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you want to see more makeup tutorials. Thank you so very much for watching, guys. I love you, and hopefully I will see you in the next one.